What communications lessons can managers take away from the election? I'm Erin White with the Wall Street Journal. Here to talk about that with me is TJ Walker, who advises executives on effective speaking strategies as head of media training worldwide. Thank you so much for joining me, TJ.
Glad to be here.
So, tell me, what are some of the biggest overall communications lessons that managers can take away from the election? Obama and McCain clearly had different speaking styles. What are sort of the biggest things that people can take away in terms of communications from Obama's victory?
Well, Obama did several things right. For starters, he had a good positive message. He said, vote for me, and I'm going to have activist government intervene in the economy, intervene in healthcare, and get you out of an unpopular war. He stuck to that message again and again and again. He had a strong positive message.
What I can tell the American people, 95% of you will get a tax cut. And if you make less than $250,000, less than $250,000 a year, then you will not see one dime's worth of tax increase.
And unfortunately, McCain made a classic blunder. His message was too abstract. He said, vote for me because I'm a reformer. Well, reform what? It's too abstract. He didn't give enough concrete examples. Ronald Reagan, for example, said, vote for me, I'm a reformer, but I will reform by reducing taxes, strengthening defense. So it was specific and concrete. And unfortunately, McCain left things at the abstract level.
You've got to look at our records. That's the important thing. Who fought against wasteful and earmarked spending? Who has been the person who has tried to keep spending under control? Who is the person who has believed that the best thing for America is to have a tax system that is fundamentally fair? And I've fought to simplify it, and I have proposals to simplify it. Let's give every American a choice. 2 tax brackets, generous dividends, and let Americans choose whether they want the existing tax code or they want a new tax code.
Obama also did a great job of saying why you should vote against his opponent.
Yeah.
That's George Bush another term.
Just one last point I want to make. Senator McCain talked about providing a $5,000 health credit. Now, what he doesn't tell you is that he intends to, for the first time in history, tax health benefits. So you may end up getting a $5,000 tax credit. Here's the only problem. Your employer now has to pay taxes on the health care that you're getting from your employer. And if you end up losing your health care from your employer, you've got to go out on the open market and try to buy it. It is not a good deal for the American people.
And McCain, unfortunately, his negatives against Obama just seemed to bounce around. He was shifting messages. That hurt him.
So what are the most important sort of everyday tips that managers can take away from this in terms of what to apply in their daily situations?
You've got to do 3 things. You've got to give a clear, compelling message of what's good about your product. If you're a candidate, you've got to say why you're the best candidate for this job. You've also got to say what's wrong with the opposition. And finally, you have to have a good defense for the other charges. Again, Obama did a masterful job. When McCain said, my opponent's going to raise taxes, Obama didn't sit back and say, oh no, I'm not really going to raise taxes that much. He didn't get defensive. The best defense is always an attack. Instead, every single time he said, I will cut taxes on 95% of the population, and McCain will give a $750,000 tax increase or tax cut to Wall Street CEOs. It then put McCain on the defensive. That is a picture-perfect way of handling negatives thrown your way. McCain, when accused of just continuing Bush policies, never had a good defense.
Yeah. What about what not to do? What can managers take from that?
Well, you've got to be able to defend yourself, and you have to be able to react quickly. You can't just bounce around as McCain seemed to do with a different theme every day. But for example,
now my old buddy Joe the plumber's out there. Now Joe, Senator Obama's plan, if you're a small business and you're able and the guy that sells to you will not have a capital gains tax increase, which Senator Obama wants. If you're out there, my friend, and you've got employees and you've got kids, if you don't adopt the health care plan that Senator Obama mandates, he's going to fine you. Now, Senator Obama, I'd still like to know what that fine's going to be. And I don't think that Joe right now wants to pay a fine when he is seeing such difficult times in America's economy.
And I'm happy to talk to you, Joe, too, if you're out there. Here's your fine, zero. You won't pay a fine because as I said in our last debate, and I'll repeat, John, I exempt small businesses from the requirement for large businesses that can afford to provide health care to their employees but are not doing it. I exempt small businesses from having to pay into a kitty. But large businesses that can afford it, we've got a choice. Either they provide health insurance to their employees or somebody has to. Right now what happens is those employees get dumped into either the Medicaid system, which taxpayers pick up, or they're going to the emergency room for uncompensated care, which everybody picks up in their premiums.
Thank you so much for joining me, TJ.
Thank you.
I've been talking with TJ Walker of Media Training Worldwide. In New York, I'm Erin White with the Wall Street Journal.